The tugboat, for its size, is the most powerful craft afloat. And the Star Tugs are the power behind the docks and waterways that make up the Bigg City Port. This is Tugs, a Tugs adventure, based on the TV series by Robert Cardona and David Mitten, written by Laid-Back Brit, read by TARDIS9. Chapter 1. Briefings. The sun was just beginning to slowly rise from behind the ocean and appearing in the horizon. As it rose, the sky began to change colour, from a light blue to an amazing orange, which was reflected in the ocean. The sun rose into the sky high over Bigg City Port. No activity was going on in the harbour. The only sounds being made was the tiny splashing of the water and the cries of the seagulls, who had woken early to hunt for their breakfast. The increasing daylight rose over the Star Dock, where Captain Star's Starfleet were still fast asleep. But they were soon woken up by Captain Star, who called out through the megaphone in his window, "Good morning, Starfleet!" The Starfleet soon woke up and yawned. Most of them were feeling refreshed after a good night's sleep, but Top Hat was moody as usual. "Ugh! I couldn't sleep last night because I was listening to the Z-Stacks next to us gossiping about how much better than us they think they are." "Well, that's your own fault, Top Hat, for listening to Z-Stacks," boomed Captain Star. "You know we start at 6:30. "And besides, Top Hat," added 10 cents, "why are you listening to Z-Stacks anyway? They have nothing good to say. There's no one in Bigg City Port worse than them." "Except you, Top Hat," Sunshine laughed. "Oh, be quiet, little Sunshine," grumbled Top Hat crossly. Compared to other vessels, I'm not so small. No offence, Grampus." "None taken," the midget submarine replied. "All right, that will do," called Captain Star. "Top Hat, you go off and collect the carb loads and start transporting the trains around Bigg City Port." Top Hat huffily puffed out of the Star Dock. "Like I said when Vienna came to Big City, why couldn't I have been a liner?" "Because you're not big enough," smiled Warrior as he watched Top Hat leave the dock. "Just like I said." "Then again, he is pretty big-headed," 10 cents chuckled cheekily. 10 cents, Sunshine? You two go off to your usual fuel delivery to Sally Seaplane," ordered Captain Star. "Then there are some barges waiting at Lucky's yard for you two to deliver." "Aye, aye, sir," called 10 cents as he started to leave the dock. "Yeah, we'll get on with it and do a good job of it," added Sunshine cheerily as he began to follow 10 cents. "OJ, a fuel barge is waiting at the depot by the bay," continued Captain Star. "I want you to collect it and take it to a customer that you'll meet at Lucky's." "Aye, aye, Captain," the old paddle tug replied. "I'll deliver it, and safely too." OJ's 2 paddle wheels on either side of his body began to spin as he steamed slowly but surely out of the dock. Captain Star continued giving orders to his tugs. Big Mac, a tramp steamer is coming into the estuary later. I want you to meet it and tow it into port. Warrior, you go on your usual garbage duty now. On your way." As Big Mac and Warrior began to steam out of the Star Dock, Warrior sighed glumly and turned to his brother. "Why do you get to do the big work while I do the garbage duty? You're my brother after all." "Maybe because you just bump and sink the tramper," joked Big Mac. "Nah, I'm just joking, Warrior. I'm sure you'll find garbage has excuses. Like it's great for annoying Top Hat." The 2 harbour tugs laughed. and then headed off in different directions. Back at the Star Dock, Captain Star was now giving orders to Hercules. "The ocean liner Angel Anna is coming into port this afternoon. Hercules, I want you to meet her out at sea, then bring her in and dock her." "Aye, aye, Captain Star. Love to." As Hercules left the Star Dock, Grampus asked Captain Star what he had to do that day. "Well, Grampus, I don't have any work for you for just being a submarine. However, I would like you to look around Bigg City Port and see if you can find anything that may affect work for us or anything like that." "Yes, sir." Grampus began to leave the dock. He didn't mind that he didn't get as much work as the tugs. Any work Captain Star gave him was better than the work the Navy gave him. As the Star briefing was now ending, the Zero briefing was just beginning. Captain Zero called loudly into his megaphone. "Wake up, you lazy lot!" All the Z-Stacks woke up, groaning and yawning. While Zip and Zug were feeling good after getting plenty of sleep, Zoran, Zebedee and Zack were all tired and grouchy. They did not get much sleep last night, having chatted for several hours about how they thought they were better than the Starfleet. "Oh, I'm shattered," groaned Zebedee wearily. "Well, that's your bad luck, Zebedee," snapped Captain Zero. "You shouldn't have been chatting all night." "Yes, Zebedee," added Zoran. "You shouldn't chat while you should be asleep." Zoran," put in Zack. "You were chatting too, you—" "Shut it, Zack," snapped Zoran. "Yeah, all of you, shut it!" yelled Captain Zero. "Zoran, Zebedee and Zack, some new fuel barges are waiting for you at Lucky's yard. Collect them and take them to the canal." "Aye, aye, Captain, aye, Captain." The 3 harbour Z-Stacks quickly left the dock, leaving Zip and Zug behind. Captain Zero then addressed his 2 switchers. "You two go off to do your coal deliveries." "Yes, Captain Zero," replied Zug. "Have you noticed we're all delivering fuel today?" Zip asked cheerily. "We're just delivering different fuel to the others." I don't care, bellowed Captain Zero. "Just get on with your work, on the double!" "Oh, yes, sir." "Yes, sir." Zip and Zug steamed quickly out of the Zero dock in fright. Captain Zero bellowed through the megaphone. "Show everyone what Z-Stacks can do! There's no one better than Z-Stacks!" Chapter 2. Fuel Drivers. Later, 10 Cents and Sunshine arrived at the seaplane hangar with a fuel barge. Sally's seaplane was there waiting for them. She was pleased to see them. "Hello, fellas. You have my fuel, I see." "Hiya, Sally," 10 Cents called cheerfully. "Here's your fuel." "Hello again, Sally," called Sunshine, who was always pleased to see the seaplane. The 2 switchers moved the fuel barge next to Sally, then stood near her. Sally began taking on fuel from the barge. "Have you fellas been up to anything exciting recently?" "Nah, not really," replied 10 Cents. "Just working for Captain Czar and trying to beat the Z-Stacks, that's all." "Well, I am surprised," said Sally. "You often get up to the most extraordinary mishaps." "Yeah, well, all I'd like is a nice normal life a tug can live," remarked 10 Cents. Sunshine said nothing. He just stared at Sally, smiling widely. Suddenly, the 3 of them heard a blast of a horn coming from nearby, and a large tug came into the seaplane hangar. 10 Cents, Sunshine, and Sally stared at him. They had never seen this tug before. He was very large, about the same size as Zebedee, and painted black with a number 2 on each side of his hull. What was very strange about him was that he didn't have a smokestack. "Excuse me," he said in a gruff voice to Sally. "Were you using that barge?" "Why, yes," remarked Sally, puzzled. "This is seaplane fuel." "Oh well, then it's no good to us," barked the strange tug. "I must find more fuel suitable for me and my friends. Captain Fuel and Gangster will be waiting." At last, Sunshine spoke. Excuse me, but who are you? And where's your stack? The big tug turned his head to look at the switchers. You're two of those old-fashioned types. A mugger. Excuse me, remarked 10 cents crossly. Old-fashioned? That's right. You're dependent on coal. Well, me and the rest of my fleet run on fuel. That's why we don't have stacks like you. Well, when everyone sees how more reliable we are, you'll be replaced, no questions asked. What? 10 cents gasped in shock. Mugger began to leave the hangar. Oi, come back here! 10 cents called, but Mugger left without a word. 10 cents? Do you really think he and his fleet are going to replace us? Asked Sunshine worriedly. 10 cents thought for a moment, then shook his head. Nah. It seems to me that tug is just part of a new fleet in Bigg City Port. Captain Star wouldn't let them replace us. Oh, good, smiled Sally. I wouldn't like some other tugs delivering my fuel instead of you two. All the same, said Sunshine, it doesn't sound like a good thing to have another fleet of tugs to be in Bigg City Port. That'll mean more competition, and we have another there with the Z-Stacks. Yeah, well, we'll worry about that later, replied 10 cents confidently. Come on, Sunshine, we got barges to deliver. All right, see you same time tomorrow, Sally. Bye, fellas, said Sally sweetly, as the two switchers turned away and headed off to their next job. Meanwhile, Zoran, Zebedee, and Zack were steaming together through the canal, each towing a fuel barge, which was orange and had the word Tugging painted in white on each side. None of the Z-Stacks knew what this fuel was for. Now we need to make sure that we charge the customers accepting these a lot of money, exclaimed Zoran, especially when we let Zip and Zug deliver fuel. They let the customer have it for free. We'll make a good profit on these, Zack smirked. We should do this on our own, instead of for Captain Zero. Yeah, but then he'd have our stacks for it, remarked Zoran huffily. As the Z-Stacks rounded a corner, they saw up ahead 3 tugs, which they had never seen before, blocking the way. These tugs were identical to each other, and Mugger, the tug that had met 10 cents Sunshine and Sally, painted black, about the same size as Zebedee, and had no stacks. Much to the puzzlement of the Z-Stacks. The only feature on these tugs that differed them from each other was that one had the number 3 painted on each side of his hull, another one of them had the number 4, the third had number 5. Ahoy there! The tug with the number 3 painted on called to the Z-Stacks. What's that you're towing? The Z-Stacks stopped and faced the newcomers. Zebedee and Zack stared at them in puzzlement, wondering who they were and why they had no stacks. Zoran, however, quickly decided they were looking to take the fuel barges from them and gain the money. Push off! This is our work! We're not letting you take it and claim the money! Well, that's a nice way to greet someone new to Bigg City Port, remarked the tug with the number 5 sarcastically. He steamed past the Z-Stacks and surveyed the fuel barges. Ah, just what we need. Tugging Fuel. Tugging Fuel? Scoffed Zoran, puzzled. He was surprised and outraged this tug knew more about what he was towing than he did. What's that, then? And why do you lot need it? Who are you? Put in Zebedee. And why on earth don't you have stacks? The tug with the number 4 smiled. My name is Pushover. And these are my friends Muscles. He turned his head to look at the tug with the number 3. And Animal. He then looked at the tug with the number 5. We need that fuel. Oh, I see, snorted Zoran huffily. You're trying to sell fuel by yourselves, are you? Did you only have your stacks for doing it? No, we don't need stacks, retorted Muscles, feeling very annoyed. We're fuel-driven tugs, coming from a fleet called the Fuel Drivers, and we're new in Bigg City Port. We work for our owner, Captain Fuel. That fuel you have is what he uses to power us, hence the name. We don't need coal like you oldies. Oldies? Snapped Zoran. Why, just so you... we've come to collect it, interrupted Animal. But we're taking this fuel to a customer. "Oh yes, that would be Captain Fuel," lied Muscles. "He was going to collect it from you, but changed his mind, and sent us to collect it instead." "Oh well, that's okay then," remarked Zebedee, satisfied. "I'm not sure," muttered Zoran suspiciously. "You're a new fleet, so that would make us rivals. Not that we don't already have a rivalry with another fleet." "Okay then, forget it," replied Animal, revving up his fuel-driven engine to leave. "But we would have paid a big price, and just in case you don't know, which we're sure you don't, Tugging Fuel is worth quite a lot of money." These words made Zoran's jaw drop. "It is? Ah, alright then. You fellas got yourself 3 fuel barges." So the Z-Stacks untied the Tugging Fuel barges from themselves, and the fuel drivers tied themselves onto each. "We'll pay you up later," exclaimed Pushover. "Right now we need to get refueled." The 3 fuel drivers began to steam off with the fuel barges. "So long!" called Animal. "I'm sure we'll see you soon," added Muscles. And the Z-Stacks watched the fuel drivers leave until they were out of sight. "Well," exclaimed Zebedee, "they seem a nice lot, and they'll be working here." "Yeah, but I'm still not sure we can trust them," added Zoran, still suspicious. "If they're working here, that means we'll be rivals, just like with the Starfleet. Besides, they did call us oldies for being dependent on coal." "True," remarked Zack, "but at least they're gonna pay us big money for the tugging fuel." Further up the canal, the 3 fuel drivers were laughing as they steamed along the canal with the tugging fuel barges in tow. "I can't believe those coal smokers fell for our ploy," snickered Pushover. "Yeah," added Muscles, chortling. "If they think we're gonna pay 'em, they can dream on." "We managed to get the fuel," put in Animal, laughing. "Captain Fuel will be pleased, and so will Gangster. But this is only 3 barges. We're gonna need much more fuel than this. More than we need ourselves." Chapter 3. Troublesome Tugs. Meanwhile, Grampus was heading out of the port, having found nothing that would be of interest to Captain Star. "At least Captain Star is more understanding if I don't find anything. Were I still working for the Navy, Blue Nose would not be pleased. It would keep me working until I find something." Nearby was an old abandoned dock, which had not been used for years. A tall, disused building stood here. As Grampus went to pass it, he looked at it, then stopped in surprise. Yet another new tug with no stack stood at the dock. He too was painted black like Pushover, Muscles, and Animal, although he was about the same size as Blue Nose, the naval tug. He also had a huge black moustache, and had the number 1 painted on each side of his hull. He was facing the disused building, which had a megaphone that was not there before attached to one of the windows. It sounded to Grampus that someone was inside the old building, because someone was calling through the megaphone to the tug. "Well, Gangster, we've settled in this place all right. Far from anywhere active in Bigg City Port." "Yes, Captain Fuel," replied the tug. Grampus, puzzled by this new sighting, let himself sink a little into the water, to make sure the man speaking through the megaphone wouldn't see him. But Grampus didn't let himself sink all the way beneath the surface, so that he could still hear the conversation. "Now you know why we're here, Gangster," called the man through the megaphone. "We need plenty of those tugging fuel barges. You and the others are to get plenty for me. I trust with you leading them, we will manage to get plenty and do our deed successfully. You know that when people ask why you need it, you say it's for you and the others because you're powered by fuel, which has a bit of truth in it. But just don't tell them the whole story, got it?" "Right, Captain Fuel, and I won't let anyone stand in our way." "I know you won't, Gangster. I can rely on you to do whatever means necessary to lead us up the money tree." And while we're here, we might as well show Bigg City Port what fuel drivers can do, and maybe earn ourselves a few contracts, and replace those other two tug fleets which rely on coal." At these words, Grampus gasped, while Gangster smirked sinisterly. "Yes, sir. Now I'll go off and see if the others have plenty of tugging fuel for us." Gangster began to turn round, giving Grampus enough time to sink below the surface so that the suspicious new tug wouldn't see him. Gangster faced away from the building, headed out of the dock and into the port. Below the surface, Grampus headed away from the dock underwater so that Captain Fuel wouldn't see him through the windows of the building. Then, finally, when he was sure that the head of the new fuel drivers couldn't see him, Grampus bobbed up to the surface, spitting out the water that had gotten into his mouth. "Goodness me! A new fleet of tugs! And they seem to be up to something. But what? I'd better report this news to Captain Star and see what he has to say about this." Inside the port, Animal, Muscles and Pushover were still towing the tugging fuel barges. As they steamed along, they met up with Mugger and told him about getting the fuel from the Z-Stacks. "It's only 3 barges, though," stated Mugger moodily. "Well, that's 3 more than you've got," replied Muscles. "The only barge I could find was seaplane fuel. I couldn't find tugging fuel anywhere. That must be why it's worth a lot. It must be rare." Just then, the 4 fuel drivers saw OJ come into view towing a tugging fuel barge. "Oh, look, Mugger," remarked Pushover. "Now's your chance." So Mugger moved up to OJ, who looked at him and the others curiously but friendly. "Hello there! New fellas in Bigg City Port, are you?" "Yeah, for the new fleet, the fuel drivers," huffed Mugger. "We want a fuel, not coal. Notice that we have no stacks?" Oh, yes, I see," OJ chuckled. "Yeah, I see that you had tugging fuel," Mugger went on, eyeing the barge OJ was towing. "We need that to power ourselves on, so can we have that barge?" "Oh, I'm sorry," apologized OJ, "but my owner, Captain Star, has ordered me to deliver this fuel elsewhere." "Oh, well, that's okay then. We'll take it for you." "Thanks, but no thanks." "Look, it'll be better if you give it to us. Fuel is flammable, and because you're old and have smoke pouring out of your sack, you'll set it alight." OJ did not approve of being called old by these new young tugs. "I may be old, but it doesn't mean to say I'm a fire hazard. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give you the fuel." Mugger moved forward and smiled sinisterly. "Well then, if you're not going to give it to us," he threatened aggressively, "then I'm afraid we're gonna have to take it from you." "Stay away from me or I'll—" "What? You can't do anything. You're just an old-timer. We can do plenty to you, though." Then, all of a sudden, a deep-toned whistle blasted from nearby. Warrior appeared with Lord Stinker in tow, loaded with garbage. Warrior noticed Mugger threatening OJ. "What's going on here?" he cried, and then jerked as Lord Stinker bumped into his stern. "Oh, be careful with me, Warrior, please," the garbage barge groaned crossly. "Sorry, but like I said, what's going on here? Who are you fellas?" "Oh, we're new," retorted Mugger hastily, trying to sound innocent. "We were just saying hi to this old guy." "No, Warrior!" cried OJ. "They were going to take this fuel barge from me." "They were?" Warrior glared at the fuel drivers and steamed towards them. "You had better not." "Oh, what are you gonna do?" Mugger sneered. Then, as Warrior came closer to the fuel drivers, Lord Stinker did too, as he was pulled along by the harbour tug. Then the smell of the garbage barge entered the nostrils of the newcomers, who coughed, choked and gagged in disgust. "If you ever try to take fuel from OJ again," Warrior warned angrily, "you'll have me to answer to. Got that?" The fuel drivers continued to cough. Whatever, Mugger wheezed. "Just keep that barge away from us." Warrior then turned away and passed the fuel drivers towing Lord Stinker, and OJ followed with the tugging fuel barge in tow. "I sure showed them," said Warrior proudly. "Yes, Warrior," replied Lord Stinker sarcastically. "You're a hero." Pushover then made a beeline to Mugger. "Mugger, we need plenty of that tugging fuel, and you couldn't get it from a paddle steamer." "I would have," remarked Mugger defensively, but that barge stank. I can accept that, replied Pushover, but Captain Fuel won't. The naval gangster. Chapter 4. Fug Tug. Elsewhere, 10 Cents and Sunshine had delivered their barges to a customer and were heading towards the coal depot to restock themselves. Sunshine was still fretting over the new fleet of tugs. "You're sure they won't replace us?" "Look, Sunshine," replied 10 Cents, getting quite annoyed. "We've been working up in Bigg City Port for a long time now. Everyone knows what good jobs we do. No matter how modern these new tugs may be, Captain Star will make sure they don't replace us." Okay, if you say so." "I know so." The two switchers arrived at the coal depot, where they found Zip and Zug about to leave with a barge loaded with coal that was tied behind Zip. "Ahoy, you two!" 10 Cents called out to them. "Captain Zero giving you two dirty work, then?" He laughed at his own joke, and so did Sunshine. "Very funny, 10 Cents," muttered Zug dreadfully. "This is our 4th delivery," added Zip, "and we have more to do. It's taking so long." "Well, I think I know why," remarked Sunshine. "Because you are using just one barge. Seeing as there are 2 of you working, why don't you use 2 barges?" "Oh, yeah," remarked Zip. Then he turned to Zug. "Zug, you knew we could do that. Why didn't you suggest it?" "Well, Because Zug is just making you do all the work," grinned 10 Cents. Before Zug could retort, the 4 switchers jerked as they heard a blast of a horn. Then Gangster zoomed into the coal yard and eyed the Star and Zero switchers. "Well, what have we got here then? 4 little oldies." "Excuse me," cried Zug, shocked. "But who are you calling oldies? What are you?" asked Zip, who, like the other tugs that had met the other fuel drivers, was puzzled at the fact that Gangster had no stack. 10 Cents and Sunshine weren't surprised to see this more modern tug, having seen Mugger earlier. "It's okay. You don't need to explain to us what you are," exclaimed 10 Cents. "We met your mate Mugger earlier." "Bah! I'm made of stronger stuff than him, and the rest of the fleet I have to work with," grumbled Gangster. "It's no wonder our leader, Captain Fuel, replaced me in charge of them while doing dirty work, which we'll be doing plenty of around here." He then glared at the 4 switchers. "And we'll be replacing all you oldies too. We don't need fuel like that dirty black stuff you're hauling." Then Gangster turned and charged towards Zip. Zip cried out in fear and shut his eyes, but Gangster raced past him and instead hit the coal barge tied behind Zip. With such force, he caused a hole in the barge, which made water rush over it and sink it. Gangster then raced out of the coal depot, ignoring the shouts from the switchers, telling him to come back and pick it up. Zug sighed. "What a bully." "Yeah, I don't think we're going to enjoy working with him in the future," muttered 10 Cents grumpily. "We'd better get another barge, Zip," said Zug. "Make that 2 barges," Zip remarked stubbornly. "You're not getting her out of work again, Zug." "You'll be lucky to still have work," whispered Sunshine quietly and worriedly, "the way that fog tug was talking." Zip and Stug went off to find some spare barges, while 10 Cents and Sunshine stayed behind to restock on coal. Sunshine was still worried about the fuel drivers replacing the Starfleet. And for the first time, after seeing how aggressive Gangster was, so was 10 Cents. Chapter 5. Tow into port. Away from Bigg City Port, Big Mac was out in the estuary, waiting for the tramper Captain Star had told him to meet and dock. But Big Mac had been waiting for half an hour because the tramper was late. At last, the tramper came into sight and approached him. "Sorry I'm late," it called through a megaphone on its front window. "Come on," Big Mac retorted impatiently. "We're already late. How much will you pay me for it all?" "I'll give you 100. Make it 200. 150. Done." Big Mac then moved alongside the bow of the tramper. But as he was just about to get a line on it, to his surprise, he saw Mugger, Muscles, Animal, and Pushover approaching him. "Ahoy there! Ahoy there! Ahoy there! Ahoy there!" they all called to him in unison. Big Mac, like the rest of the tugs the fuel drivers had encountered, was puzzled by them having no stacks. "Eh? Where's your stacks?" But the fuel drivers were now tired of having to explain that they were fuel-powered. So Animal went and approached the tramper while the others stopped where they were. "Say, do you need a tow?" "Why, yes I do." "Great, we'll give you one." "Excuse me," Big Mac huffed, annoyed. "But it's my job to give this tramper a tow." "Oh, it's okay," replied Animal calmly. "We can do it for you. We'll save you the bother." "That's very kind of you, but I have Captain Star's orders." "Yeah?" Pushover yelled angrily. "Well, we can do it better than you, because you're an oldie. Now you just... "Oh, will you all just stop arguing?" groaned the tramper huffily. "Why don't you all tow me? I'll pay you all 150 each. Just get me into port and shut up." 150 each? Muscles cried wonderingly. "Oh, that works for us." Before Big Mac could disagree, Muscles moved to the port side of the tramper, Animal moved to the starboard side, Pushover moved to behind the stern, and Mugger moved in front of the bow alongside Big Mac. Then they each tied a line onto the tramper. "All right," called the tramper, "take me into port." And so the 4 fuel-powered tugs and 1 steam-powered tugs began to take the tramper into Bigg City Port. For a while none of them spoke. Then, as they began to arrive at the port, Big Mac asked them, "So what are you lot doing here exactly? I've never seen you lot here, or any tugs like you." The fuel drivers explained how they were a more modern fleet of tugs and how they arrived with Captain Fuel and also Gangster. "So we're going to replace you oldies," said Muscles smugly. "Impossible! We've been working in Bigg City Port for a long time and proved ourselves useful. Modern you may be, but you won't meet our standards." "You'll have shot," sneered Animal slyly. "When we do all the docking round here, we'll do a wonderful job of it, and it's all thanks to Tugging Fuel." They finally reached the port and cast off their lines from the tramper. "Now come on then," demanded Mugger. 150 each. As the tramper began paying out, Top Hat came into view with Eddie and Frank, the railway barges. He eyed the fuel drivers suspiciously. "I say, new arrivals? Big Mac, you shouldn't be sharing the work with them." "I didn't wanna," Big Mac replied gruffly, "but they insisted." "Well, that's not a polite way to greet someone new," Animal snorted to Top Hat. "But then again, you oldies think you're it." "Oldies?" Top Hat choked in horror. "I'm not old." "But you do think you're it," Eddie teased cheekily. "Oh, do shut up!" Top Hat snapped angrily. "Well, Big Mac, you shared docking a tramper with your new friends." "They're not my friends!" "But you had better not have decided to share docking Angel Anna with them." "Angel Anna?" Mugger cried, recognizing the name. "The Angel Anna? You're docking her?" "Yes," scoffed Top Hat. "Come on, guys," Mugger called to the other fuel drivers. "Let's go tell Captain Fuel." And the 4 fuel drivers took off and disappeared out of sight. "Oh, great going, Top Hat," Big Mac grumbled. "Now they'll probably dock Angel Anna instead of us." "Not if we get there first," smirked Top Hat calmly. "Mind you, from the sound of it, those smug tugs are going to be working here for some time." They are. They told me.
Oh, I don't think I'd like having to compete with them for work.
Oh, I don't know, put in Frank. I think I'd like having one of them take us. Their attitude can't be any worse than yours, said Eddie to Top Hat.
Hardy ha ha, muttered Top Hat. Big Mac, I'm going to drop off these blockheads. You go and join the others to meet Hercules with Angel Anna. I'll join you all shortly. As long as we're there first, those newbies won't steal the work from us.
Okay, replied Big Mac, setting off into port. Let's just make sure those newcomers won't steal our work. Chapter 6. Liner Theft. Later, Big Mac arrived at the dock where 10 Cents, Sunshine, Warrior and OJ were waiting for Hercules to bring in the Angel Anna. They were all complaining to each other about the fuel drivers.
Just who do they think they are?
Warrior burst out angrily.
Thinking they can take our work.
They're a right foggish lot, added OJ, feeling annoyed. You haven't seen their leader, Gangster, 10 Cents muttered grudgingly. He tends to live up to his name.
The whole lot of them are even worse than the Z-Stacks,
put in Sunshine worriedly.
They're really bent on replacing us.
Big Mac steamed over, having heard everything. Aye, but they won't. They may be dependent on fuel instead of coal, but we've been doing good work here in Bigg City Port for a long time. We're just about to do an example of how good we are. The people and watercrafts will always be dependent on us, no matter how modern the fuel drivers are.
Yeah, you're right, Big Mac.
Warrior smiled proudly.
Let's go dock the Angel Anna and show how good we are.
At that moment, the Star Tugs heard the sound of Hercules' whistle, and then they saw him come into sight, towing a magnificent ocean liner. It looked a cross between the Princess Alice and the SS Vienna. It had a white body with a grey-white hull. It had 4 black smokestacks, each with a red stripe around it. Hercules looked very proud to be towing it. All right there, my dears. Magnificent, isn't she? We're very lucky to be ones to tow this beauty, and no fuel drivers can stop us, Big Mac whispered to the others. After all, we got here first, so we get to dock her, as Top Hat told me. Where is Top Hat anyway? Asked 10 Cents, feeling very puzzled. No idea, replied OJ hastily, but we'll have to dock her without him. Yeah, come on, old darlings, chirped Hercules cheerily. Let's go dock this beauty. Yeah, called Sunshine happily. We're the Starfleet. We're the best. Let's prove it. So the Star Tugs moved towards the port side of the Angel Anna and pushed their bows against her hull, about to take her in. Nearby, Zoran could see the magnificent liner while he was on dredger detail with Scuttlebutt Pete. Captain Zero had placed him there as punishment, for he was not happy when he had found out Zoran, Zebedee and Zack had given away their barges when they were supposed to sell them to a customer. Scuttlebutt had been very amused by this story.
This'll be something to tell everyone.
Yeah, if you want to end up at the bottom of the waterbed, Zoran snorted smugly. Why did Captain Zero place me with you, and just gave Zebedee and Zack extra work to do later tonight? Besides, I told him that those new tugs who bought the fuel off of us would pay us, but he wouldn't believe me.
I don't think they'll be paying you. They've probably had you for a mug. They needn't have bothered though, 'cause you are one.
Oh, very funny. Just then, Gangster came racing through and spotted the Angel Anna in the distance. There she is, lads. Come on, there's no time to lose. He raced past Zoran and Scuttlebutt, followed by Mugger and then Muscles, Animal and Pushover. Zoran immediately recognized them and called after them. Hey you lot, when are you gonna pay me? Pushover looked back. Oh, we will soon. Don't you go worrying your stack off, oldie. You better, and don't call me oldie.
So those are the tugs you gave the fuel to,
Scuttlebutt remarked.
Oh, well, you may be a mug, but compared to them, you're a very old one.
Now shut up, Scuttlebutt. Meanwhile, the Starfleet had almost gotten the Angel Anna to where she was to be docked. Nearly done, my dears, called Hercules. Right, Hercules, 10 Cents called back, looking towards the bow. He then turned back to face the hull and continued to move the ship. All of a sudden, he
he heard a loud bump come from his left. Puzzled, 10 Cents turned his head to look next to him, and was shocked to see Mugger. "You! What are you doing?" Mugger turned to the switcher and sneered. "Just doing our job, that's all." Then, to the surprise and shock of the other Star Tugs, Muscles, Animal and Pushover all moved up to the hull and pushed against it. Hercules looked back. "What's going on back there?" Then Hercules received a surprise himself. Gangster appeared on the starboard side of him and cast a line on the Angel Anna. "What are you doing?" cried Hercules. But instead of answering, Gangster began to tow the ship to starboard. Alarmed, Hercules tried towing the ship to port, but Gangster was much stronger, and as the ship headed to starboard, the tow line on Hercules snapped. Gangster towed the ship away with the other fuel drivers pushing against the hull, keeping it away from the Star Tugs, who could now only watch as the fuel drivers made off with the Angel Anna. "Now that is an outrage!" 10 Cents burst out angrily. "They can't just take a liner we were about to dock." "Oh, but they just did, 10 Cents, muttered Sunshine quietly. Hercules came around to join them. "Well, I don't know about you, darlings, but I'm going straight to Captain Star to report them immediately." Just then, Top Hat came into view and noticed that the Angel Anna wasn't there.
"Oh, Hercules, where's the liner? You haven't lost it, have you?"
He chuckled, thinking what he had said was funny. Then he noticed all the tugs were scowling at him.
What? What have I said?
"We'll get the liner if we get it fast," Big Mac led. "That's what."
"Yes, I did," scoffed Top Hat. "So where is the Angel Anna? We're all here, I see, so there's no—"
"Top Hat!" Big Mac burst out. "The fuel driver stole the liner!"
"What? Well, why on earth did you let them?"
"Let them? We didn't let them!" snapped 10 Cents. "But we couldn't stop them!" "Why didn't you get here sooner, Top Hat?" said OJ crossly. "You could have tried to help us stop them." "And you're the one who said we'd get the liner first if we were here," growled Big Mac. "Yet you arrived too late." Top Hat groaned dreadfully.
"Oh, everyone just expects me to do everything round here."
The rest of the Starfleet sighed and began to make their way back to the Star Dock. Chapter 7. Lightship Fuel Delivery. Captain Star was most furious when he heard what had happened with the Angel Anna. He had already heard about the fuel drivers and Captain Fuel arriving in Bigg City Port from Grampus, but hadn't taken it as a threat. Now that he had heard that the newcomers had stolen a liner from them, he was angrier than the Starfleet had ever seen him before. He crossly ordered them to do some odd jobs while he would go around to pay Captain Fuel a visit. When the Star Tugs returned to the pier at dusk, Captain Star had managed to calm himself down, but he was still cross, although not at his tugs.
"I've spoken to this Captain Fuel. Apparently, when the fuel drivers took the liner from you, they just stopped it. However, that isn't the point. I tried complaining to him about it, but he would have none of it. And we're going to have to put up with having the fuel drivers in Bigg City Port, so we're going to be competing with them from now on."
"Oh no," groaned Top Hat moodily.
As if just competing against the Z-Stacks wasn't bad enough.
"I don't like it any more than you do, Top Hat," boomed Captain Star.
"But there's nothing we can do about it."
"I don't suppose the Z-Stacks will like competing against them either," muttered 10 Cents grudgingly.
"Now then, time for you to dock here for the night,"
Captain Star continued loudly.
"Except for you, 10 Cents and Sunshine. Time for you to make your nightly fuel deliveries to Lily Lightship."
Now there's one vessel that's fuel-driven who isn't as bad as those newcomers, muttered Sunshine quietly. "Say hello to Lily for me, old darlings," mused Hercules, as the two switchers made their way out of the Star Dock. 10 Cents and Sunshine collected a barge containing lightship fuel, and then made their way out of the port and out to sea. They were still feeling a little glum about the fuel drivers stealing their work from them.
Even if they don't replace us, said Sunshine sadly, they'll most likely steal work from us. Yeah, they seem to know all about stealing work. Literally. By the time darkness fell, the 2 star switchers reached Dender Rocks, where the beautiful Lily lightship was anchored. She was very pleased to see her 2 friends who had brought her fuel, but then noticed that they were sad. Hello, boys. Why the long faces? Hi, Lily, 10 Cents replied glumly, moving the fuel barge alongside her so as to refuel her. We've been having a bad day, and every day from now on could be a bad day. Would you like to tell me about it? I'm a good listener. Lily gave the switchers a sweet little smile. So they told her everything, starting from when they heard about the fuel drivers coming into Bigg City Port being more modern and threatening to replace the Starfleet. Then they went on about how they met Gangster and how aggressive he had been. They concluded by telling Lily about the fuel drivers stealing the Angel Anna and how angry Captain Star had been. Well, Captain Star can't go blaming you for the theft of the liner, said Lily. It wasn't your fault. Now, it isn't the fact that Captain Star was angry that's making us sad, sighed 10 Cents unhappily, though at this moment he felt a little proud to be defending his captain, even if from a statement made by a friend. It's the fact that these fuel drivers will be working in Bigg City Port from now on, so that means they'll be taking all work from us, Sunshine added. Oh dear, I do hope not, worried Lily. I wouldn't want anyone else bringing fuel out to me instead of you 2, even if they are more modern. Just then, the 3 of them heard the sound of a modern engine. They saw Gangster coming towards them. The aggressive leader of the fuel drivers had spotted the fuel barge. Ahoy! Is that Tugging Fuel? Oh, you must be one of those fuel drivers, Lily replied, scowling. Yes, I'm Gangster. No, this isn't Tugging Fuel. It's fuel for lightships. And even if it was Tugging Fuel, I wouldn't give it to you. Well, that's no way to treat someone new, Gangster sniffed. It is if he steals work from tugs who have been working here longer than you. Yeah, we want a word with you, Gangster, put in 10 Cents angrily. What do you think you are doing, stealing the Angel Anna from us? You should be thanking me, Gangster smiled smugly. We saved you the bother having to dock that liner. But that was our job, snapped 10 Cents. If you're gonna be working here, you need to be assigned your own tasks, not take tasks that other fleets do. And don't you even think you're taking our job of delivering fuel to Lily? Snarled Sunshine aggressively. Puh! We fuel drivers do much more important work like docking liners. We don't waste our time doing not so important work like taking fuel to stupid lightships. Lily is important! Yelled 10 Cents, sticking up for Lily. Whatever. We'll replace you oldies in doing all the important work. But if you're lucky, maybe you'll be allowed to stay in port and do this stupid work you call important. It's more important than what you'll end up doing, argued Sunshine, which is garbage and dredger detail. Gangster pretended not to hear. Now, if you don't mind, I can't stop to listen to your oldie remarks. I need tugging fuel, and lots of it. With that, Gangster swung around, facing away from the angry switchers and headed back to port. I say, boys, you were right, muttered Lily, feeling very offended by Gangster's remark about her not being important. He is aggressive and horrid. Yeah, I'm gonna hate working with him, 10 Cents sighed wearily, tired from the arguing. Don't listen to what he said about you, though, Lily. You are important and special. No vessel out here would be safe without your light, added Sunshine. Speaking of which, is it ready now? Lily turned on her light, which shone brightly and rotated inside its beacon, lighting up the darkness of Dender Rocks. Yes, it is, thanks. I'll keep shining it for you and the other stars. There might be light for you if you're going to be working with Gangster and the rest of his kind. Oh, thanks, Lily, smiled 10 Cents, feeling better. We'd better get going. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, and by the way, added Sunshine, remembering, Hercules says hi. Okay, thanks, smiled Lily brightly. Bye, boys.
And with that, the two star switchers turned away from her and headed back towards Bigg City Port. Chapter 8. Replacement for tows. The next day was no better for either the Starfleet or the Z-Stacks. Wherever they went, they found the fuel drivers left, right and centre doing work, but mostly they would be looking for more tugging fuel.
Why would they need so much fuel?
Top Hat sulked grumpily to OJ as he was on his way to pick up Eddie and Frank, when he met the old paddle tug en route to the old quay with Little Ditcher the A-frame crane.
I really don't know, Top Hat.
OJ frowned.
But I'm suspicious. They may be more modern, but I don't think they need to take on fuel as often as they claim to. We don't need to restock on coal that much.
If they do need to take on fuel so often,
put in Little Ditcher optimistically,
then that's one advantage you have over them. They're taking on fuel too often, which is a waste of good fuel which can never be brought back.
Ha! So much for modern being better!
Top Hat chortled, his spirits rising.
Yes, but as I said,
OJ sighed,
I don't think they are taking on all that fuel. I suspect they are using it for something else.
At the edge of the port, the 5 fuel drivers were gathered around each other. Captain Fuel had sent them off to gather more tugging fuel barges.
Now remember,
Gangster ordered sharply,
the whole reason we're here is for those tugging fuel barges. We're not here to dock liners. We just stocked that one yesterday so that the oldies wouldn't suspect anything. But Gangster, wouldn't they suspect something by now?
Mugger put in worriedly.
Since we stole that one from them yesterday, they could be—
Shut it, Mugger!
Now spend the whole day looking for plenty of those barges.
How many does Captain Fuel want?
Asked Animal.
I don't think he'll ever be impressed by a certain number. And neither will I. You know those barges are worth a lot. So come on, lads. Let's get into port and start searching.
Oi, gringos! You guys going into port?
The 5 fuel drivers jerked with fright when they heard the voice. They hadn't noticed that Izzy Gomez had been dozing nearby. But the old tramp steamer from South America wasn't asleep now, and was now eyeing the fuel drivers.
Yes, we are.
Gangster stuttered nervously, worried the tramper had heard everything. Oi!
Oh, because I need a tow to unload these bananas. I'll give you 25 if you take me in.
25? Pushover sneered. That isn't much. Not as much as what we're after.
Hey, listen,
said Gangster nervously to Izzy.
You didn't hear what we were discussing, did you?
Okay? Me? Oh, no, amigos. I asleep. I no listen to what Tugs had to discuss. I just wake up and hear you going into port.
Oh, that's good. Gangster relaxed and turned to the others. I guess we could make a little extra. Every bit counts, you know. You guys go into port and make a start. I'll tow this tramper in and join you later.
But Gangster!
Cried Mugger.
You said we weren't here to—
Shut it, Mugger!
Immediately, the other fuel drivers scampered away towards the port. Gangster moved to the starboard side of Izzy's bow, threw a line on the old tramper, and started to tow him towards the port.
Oh,
Izzy cried with awe.
This is the smoothest tow I ever had.
I take it you guys are modern, no?
Yeah, notice we've no stacks.
You're much better than the tugs they usually tow me. They always offer me tows too expensive. So I refuse to pay and offer them my own price. But they don't accept and leave me.
Gringos. Who needs them?
Well, don't you worry, my South American friend. Soon we will replace them. And when we aren't busy doing our main work, we'll tow you for a cheap price. As they neared a port, they saw Zoran towing a barge of stone and Warrior with Lord Sinker. Zoran was amused to see that Gangster was towing Izzy.
Well, you've managed to find a tramper stupid enough to choose you to tow them. Don't expect any high payments from him.
I'm not, Gangster smiled. I'm towing him because we're friends now. I've agreed to give him as many cheap tows as he likes.
Eh? You must have left your mind back from where you came from.
Izzy, why choose him?
Warrior cried in surprise. We're giving you toes most of the time, especially me.
Correction, amigos. You've offered me toes, but you rarely give them to me because you never accept my price, and you always stop me from getting in on my own.
Well, because that's against the law.
Who cares about the law? Gangster muttered quietly. What? Zoran snapped. Oh, nothing. Come on, Izzy, my friend. Let's get you into port. With that, Gangster began towing Izzy away. Warrior watched sadly until they were out of sight.
I don't believe it. Izzy, my friend, choosing those troublemakers over me.
Well, to be honest, Warrior, sneered Zoran cruelly, I think most trampers and liners would choose them over you. You bumped enough of them for a lifetime. Now I'm going off to deliver this stone, and then I'm gonna see if I can find those other fuel drivers. They owe me a bit of money. And Zoran returned to port and raced away with his barge of stone.
Never mind, Warrior,
said Lord Stinker sympathetically. I'll always choose you over both the fuel drivers and the Z-Stacks.
Oh, thanks, Stinker.
Warrior began to pull away.
just one thing though.
What?
Warrior stopped, but Lord Stinker kept floating and once again bumped into Warrior's stern.
Oh! Just be more careful with me, please.
Sorry.
And Warrior began towing the garbage barge back into port. Chapter 9. Night Shift. Late that night, all the Star Tugs returned to the Star Dock, tired after a hard day's work. 10 Cents and Sunshine were the last to arrive. All the other Star Tugs were asleep. 10 Cents yawned wearily. I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep. Well, dream on, 10 Cents, replied Sunshine cheekily. And by that, I mean don't go to sleep. We have to go deliver our fuel out to Lily Lightship now. Correction, Sunshine, Captain Star called out through his megaphone. It's only you who is delivering fuel to Lily tonight. Oh? But why, Captain Star? Never you mind. Just get on with it. Yes, sir. Sunshine turned around and headed out of the Star Dock. 10 Cents, I have an important job for you to do. Oh, what is it, sir? I've been working all day and putting up with insults from Z-Stacks and fuel drivers. Sorry, 10 Cents, but this job is to do with the fuel drivers. Eh? What about them? Tell me, 10 Cents, what were they all doing today when you saw them working? Tell me, 10 Cents, what were they all doing today when you saw them working? Well, 10 Cents pondered, trying to remember. They were, all looking for tugging fuel barges. Right. OJ told me today that it's a bit fishy that they seem to need so much fuel, and I agree with him. Captain Star lowered his voice. I believe they're up to something, 10 Cents. You do? 10 Cents was surprised to hear this. He hadn't suspected anything. What do you think it is, sir? That's what I want you to find out for me, 10 Cents. I sent Grampus out to spy on them, and I would like you to join him. He's waiting for you at Lucky's yard. Once you've met him, look around the harbour to see if you can spot the fuel drivers going around at night, or if there's any signs of dirty work done by them. If you find anything, go and alert the Coast Guard. Yes, sir. 10 Cents started his engine, turning away from the Star Dock and began to leave. Oh, and one more thing, 10 Cents, Captain Star called after him. You'll find a fire barge waiting when you arrive at Lucky's yard. Take it with you so that if anyone asks what you're doing out so late, tell them you're delivering it to the fire tug. Yes, sir! A little later, after travelling through the dark and quiet harbour, 10 Cents arrived at Lucky's yard. It was very dark and quiet. Only his headlamp, above his head, lit up the yard. The only sound that 10 Cents could hear was his engine, which he then turned off. Now sitting in darkness and silence, the little switcher looked around, squinting to see in the dark. He couldn't see Grampus anywhere. Yeah, Grampus? Where are you, Grampus? Yeah, Grampus? Grampus? Yeah, where are you? Grampus! Suddenly, 10 Cents heard the sound of bubbles coming from starboard. He looked down at the water and watched as Grampus rose up to the surface, facing him. Ah, there you are! He was cut off as the midget submarine spat water from his mouth right into 10 Cents' face.
Sorry, apologized Grampus, but you don't know what it's like underwater. There's no way you can stop water getting into your mouth.
Yeah, well, we can't let anything stop us tonight while we try to find out what the fuel drivers are up to. 10 Cents then spotted a fire barge tied onto the quayside. He moved alongside it, untied it from the quayside and tied it onto his starboard side.
Yeah, won't we get into trouble taking that?
Grampus asked worriedly. Nah, I don't know if he'll spot anyone tonight, but just in case we do, we can tell them we're delivering the barge to the fire tug, since they'll obviously wonder what we're doing out so late. Well, come on, Grampus, let's go. With that, 10 Cents and Grampus began to slowly head out of Lucky's yard. As the little switcher and midget submarine made their way around the harbour, they looked around and listened hard for anything suspicious going on. But to their disappointment, they did not see any fuel drivers or any vessels at all. The only living beings about were the bellboys, who were grumbling because 10 Cents and Grampus were disturbing their sleep. They searched up and down the harbour for half an hour, but there was no sign of anything suspicious going on.
I guess the fuel drivers only need their fuel by day, suggested Grampus.
We'll just have to tell Captain Star we can't find anything, sighed 10 Cents. They can't blame us. And I need my sleep too. They were just about to turn back towards the Star Dock when all of a sudden they heard someone cry out,
Help!
Did you hear that?
Gasped Grampus.
Yes, who was it? Help!
I recognise that voice,
Grampus exclaimed suddenly.
That's Blue Nose.
The cries were coming from their port side, so they sped off in that direction. It wasn't long before they found Blue Nose stuck on a pile of rubble. He noticed 10 Cents and Grampus, and not surprisingly to them, did not look pleased to see them.
Oh, it's you, Rex, partner of mine, and that little smart stack too.
Yeah, good to see you too, Blue Nose, 10 Cents huffed sarcastically. Now how'd you get into this mess?
Well, I was checking that everything was in order this afternoon, when these strange tugs with no stacks came along, saying they wanted some tugging fuel barges, which were right here. They headed for them. I tried blocking them off to stop them from stealing the barges, but then they pushed me onto this rubble and made off with the barges.
That'll be the fuel drivers, exclaimed Grampus. And once again after fuel, added 10 Cents wonderingly. They really must be up to something.
What are you talking about, laddie?
Demanded Blue Nose gruffly. Yeah, never mind, Blue Nose. Yeah, we'll report what they did to you, and their theft for the fire barges to the Coast Guard. But first we'll get you off this rubble, and take you to Lucky's yard for repairs. Here, Grampus, get a line on him and pull him off. Soon, 10 Cents and Grampus returned to Lucky's yard. Grampus was towing Blue Nose in. The naval tug's bow and hull were damaged. Grampus pulled him along the quayside, stopped and cast off.
We'll leave you here for the night. They'll find and repair you in the morning.
I have to sleep here? I don't much like it. It's not as homely as the naval dock.
No choice, I'm afraid, replied 10 Cents. Come on, Grampus. Let's see if the Coast Guard is on night duty so we can alert him.
Oh, before you go, called Blue Nose, what are you doing with that fire barge?
He eyed the fire barge still tied onto 10 Cents. Oh, we're delivering it to the fire tug.
That had better be true, otherwise if you're stealing it.
But Blue Nose didn't get to finish, as 10 Cents and Grampus were already hurrying out of Lucky's yard. Chapter 10. Revealing.
Tencent and Grampus weren't the only ones going around Bigg City Port at night. Further away, Zip and Zug were steaming hurriedly through the harbour. Zug was annoyed.
Are you sure we delivered that barge to the wrong place the other day, Zip?
Yes, I'm certain.
Let's get it to the right place before the owner finds out it hasn't been delivered and complains to Captain Zero.
The 2 Zero switchers were nearing a quayside where they had delivered one of the coal barges earlier that day when Zug suddenly stopped.
Hush, Zip! Do you hear that? Hear what? Shh!
Zip stopped his engine and listened. From nearby came voices speaking to each other. The switchers looked towards where the quayside was, and there they saw who was making the voices. The 5 fuel drivers were there, each one with a long line of tugging fuel barges. They were near the quayside as well as a nearby warehouse. Puzzled, Zip and Zug quietly moved closer to try and hear more. They could just hear Gangster leading the talking. Right, lads. I see you've all got a good number of tugging fuel barges. Very good. I am pleased. And Captain Fuel will be too. 1 barge is worth a fair amount of money. But as many as these, this is worth more money than Captain Fuel could imagine.
Hey, did you hear that?
Zug whispered to Zip.
Hey, they're going to be selling all those tugging fuel barges. But that's illegal. I know. Let's go tell the Coast Guard. I know. Let's go stop them ourselves. We'll be heroes.
Immediately, Zug took off quickly towards the fuel drivers.
Now, Zug, stop!
Zip called after him, following him. Zug went straight up to the fuel drivers, who were very stunned when they saw him. What the? Gangster exclaimed in surprise.
We know what you're up to, Zug yelled angrily, and we're going to take you into custody.
Zip pulled up beside Zug. Zug?
Not now, Zip. Now, are you bunch of no-good vessels gonna come quietly? Or are we gonna have to resort to violence to take you down?
Gangster smiled sinisterly. So, you really think you can take us down?
No.
Zip quivered in fear.
We'll just be going now. Sorry to have... Quiet, Zip!
Zug yelled, annoyed. He turned back to the fuel drivers.
Yes, we can take you down. No trouble at all.
Just try it, sneered Gangster. Suddenly, Zip and Zug cried out. They hadn't noticed that the other fuel drivers had appeared on each side of them and had now closed in on them. Pushover and Muscles had Zug trapped in between them, and Animal and Mugger had Zip trapped in between them. The 2 switchers cried out as the fuel drivers moved them through the open entry of the nearby warehouse. Once inside, the fuel drivers let go of the 2 Zero switchers and quickly raced out. Before Zip and Zug could also escape the warehouse, Gangster pushed the coal barge, which was the very barge the switchers had delivered to the quayside by mistake, across the entrance, jamming it on each side and trapping the switchers inside.
Hey, let us out!
Zip cried, but the fuel drivers took no notice. Come on, lads, called out Gangster. We gotta get these barges to the hideout. We don't need to worry about these guys now. The 5 fuel drivers tied onto their long line of tugging fuel barges and pulled out of the quayside, leaving the 2 Zero switchers trapped. Zip and Zug tried pushing against the barge, but it was no good. The barge was stuck fast. Nice going, Zug, groaned Zip grudgingly. We're trapped.
But they were up to no good. Yeah, but you didn't have to take them down yourself. We would have been heroes by just telling the Coast Guard. Now we're stuck here, and Captain Zero will find out we didn't deliver the barge to the right person.
Yeah, but he won't be able to tell us off. We're stuck here.
Oh yeah.
Chapter 11. Held Hostage.
The fuel drivers hurried through the dark harbour with their long lines of tugging fuel barges. "Hurry up, lads!" called Gangster as he led the group of criminal tugs. "And be careful with those barges. Just one of them somehow catching fire could cause a very huge explosion." Nearby, Sunshine was making his way through the harbour, his headlamp shining his way. He had taken fuel out to Lily Lightship as usual, and was now making his way back to the Star Dock. As he steamed along, he suddenly heard the sound of the fuel drivers nearby. "What's that?" He stopped where he was, looked around and listened. Then he spotted them moving quietly across the harbour with their lines of stolen tugging fuel barges. Sunshine was surprised to see so many barges. "Yeah, I know they run on fuel, but do they need that much? Something must be up. Perhaps I'd better spy on them." So Sunshine quietly moved from his post and turned towards where the fuel drivers were going. He kept a small distance behind them and turned off his headlamp and engine, just in case the light or the sound of his engine attracted the fuel drivers' attention and made them look around. Sunshine floated silently behind them, wondering where they were heading. Soon after, they arrived at a very old warehouse, which was the size of an airplane hangar at a quay. 2 old doors hung open. One by one, the fuel drivers entered with their lines of barges. Once the last barge of the last fuel driver had disappeared through the doors, Sunshine moved quietly beside the doors, hoping to see or hear anything worth paying attention to. Inside the large warehouse, it was dark and bare. All that was inside was a metal pole, its one end embedded in the waterbed, its other sticking out of the water's surface. The fuel drivers all stood side by side in silence for a while. Then, Gangster untied the first barge in his line from the second, pulled it forward near the metal pole, then turned so that he was facing the fuel drivers, and that they could see the barge from the side. The others watched. So did Sunshine. "This is what we need, you guys," Gangster announced with pride, "and we need lots of it. We sell as plenty of these as we can to get plenty of money. Of course, we then have to give all the money to Captain Fuel. But maybe, if we're really good, he may let us have some of it." "Let's hope so," added Pushover. "And we don't tell anyone we're doing this," went on Gangster, "because everyone knows this," his eyes narrowed and his voice deepened, "is illegal." At this last word, Sunshine gasped. And that was his mistake. The fuel drivers had all heard it, and quickly began looking at each other. "Who gasped?" Gangster bellowed, but no one answered. Then Gangster noticed the 2 open doors. "It came from outside! Someone was listening in on us!" He untied himself from the barge he had pulled off, and carefully but quickly moved towards the doors in between Mugger and Animal and their lines of barges. Sunshine heard Gangster coming for him and tried to turn around to run away, but Gangster was quicker and made it out of the doors and spotted the little switcher before he had managed to turn 180 degrees. "Hey you, what do you think you're doing? Eavesdropping on us, no doubt."
No, I wasn't spying.
"Don't lie to me." Then Gangster suddenly casts a rope onto Sunshine. Sunshine gasped and tried to pull away, but both Gangster and the rope were too strong. The big fuel driver pulled the small star switcher through the doors of the warehouse. As Gangster pulled Sunshine between Animal and Mugger's lines of barges and to the front of the other fuel drivers, they were all surprised to see that Gangster had brought a small switcher with him. "This little shrimp was spying on us," Gangster told the other fuel drivers. He turned to Sunshine. "Now I'm gonna have to teach you a lesson that we always teach to oldies who stick their stacks where they shouldn't, even if it means we'll have to give up a bit of money we hope to earn." He then tied Sunshine to the metal pole before turning back to the other fuel drivers. "We're gonna have to find a new place to hide out, guys, since this oldie found out. And besides," he smiled sinisterly, "this place won't last very long anyway." The fuel drivers untied themselves from their lines of barges, moved carefully round to the other ends of the lines and tied themselves back on. Then, one by one, they made their way carefully out through the doors. Gangster was the last to leave, and after the last barge in his line went out of the doors, he untied himself from his line and pushed the 2 doors shut before tying back onto his line of barges and leading the fuel drivers through the dark harbour once again. Sunshine was now all alone, tied up in the warehouse. All the fuel drivers had gone, and so had all the tugging fuel barges, except for the one which Gangster had pulled to the front. It stood right behind Sunshine. He thought Gangster, for a thug, was quite careless to leave this barge behind. He could report it as evidence to the Coast Guard if he could just break free of the rope tying him to the pole. Sunshine spent the next few minutes pulling on the rope, hoping it would break or that he could pull the pole clear out of the waterbed. But no such luck. As he continued to pull to no avail, he called out for help. But there was no one outside to hear him. Then disaster struck. As Sunshine continued pulling with what strength he had, a small ball of fire erupted from his stack and landed on the single tugging fuel barge, setting it alight. Sunshine gasped with horror as the barge began burning, flames flickering wildly. Smoke then began to billow from the blaze and rose to the roof of the warehouse, setting it on fire. Flames began to spread from both the roof and the barge, and soon the entire warehouse was on fire. "Help!" Sunshine screamed in fright, continuing to pull hard on the rope to no avail.
Chapter 12. Rescue.
Not too far from the burning warehouse, 10 Cents and Grampus were still trying to find the Coast Guard. They still had the fire barge with them. "We haven't seen him about," said 10 Cents wearily. "He probably isn't on night duty." "He must be fast asleep," sighed Grampus, feeling very tired. "Well, we've been the ones up all night investigating these happenings. We work harder than he does. We should—" But Grampus then noticed 10 Cents had stopped listening. He was looking away from him. Grampus was puzzled. "What is it, 10 Cents?" 10 Cents looked at Grampus with an alarmed expression. "Grampus, I can see smoke coming from starboard. There must be a fire at the quay. Come on, let's go!" The switcher and submarine sped off to starboard, and in less than a minute they arrived at the burning warehouse. Smoke billowed from the giant flames, making them struggle to see. "Good thing we brought that fire barge!" exclaimed Grampus, horrified at the sight of the burning building. All of a sudden, from inside the warehouse they heard a frightened cry. "Help! Help! Did you hear that?" Grampus gasped with alarm. "Someone's trapped inside! Help! Sunshine!" 10 Cents cried, recognizing the voice of his best friend. 10 Cents, I'm going in to get him out," called Grampus. "You spray water at that fire barge." And he quickly disappeared through the double doors of the burning warehouse. "Yeah, be careful, Grampus," 10 Cents called after him as he turned on the fire barge and began spraying water all over the flames. Grampus raced quickly through the warehouse, being careful to avoid flames that were spreading across the water, and he found Sunshine tied to the pole and covered in dirty ashes. "Grampus!" Sunshine exclaimed with surprise. "Sunshine, how did you—" Grampus broke off. "Never mind, not now. I gotta get you out of here." He untied Sunshine from the pole and quickly pulled him towards the double doors. When they emerged from the burning building, 10 Cents was very relieved to see Sunshine was all right. "Oh, Sunshine, oh, how glad I am to see you're okay!" Sunshine replied with a series of coughs, followed by, "So am I!" At that moment, the 3 of them heard the sound of a siren quite near to them. The fire tug arrived on the scene.
Now, is everyone all right?"
"We are now," replied Grampus.
10 cents has managed to control the flames a bit. Good. Hand me that barge, 10 cents. I'll take it from here.
10 cents gave the fire tug the barge. Then he and Grampus towed Sunshine away from the burning building and headed back towards the Star Dock. "So what were you doing in there, Sunshine?" asked 10 cents.
I was kidnapped.
"Kidnapped?" Grampus remarked thoughtfully. "Yes, I noticed you were tied up. But who kidnapped you?"
Ugh, the fuel drivers.
10 cents and Grampus stopped. They looked at each other with shock. "What's wrong?" Sunshine asked, puzzled. "Something," frowned 10 cents, "is definitely up." The next morning, Captain Star sent the whole Starfleet off to work except 10 cents, Sunshine, and Grampus. He wanted to know what 10 cents and Grampus had discovered the night before. He had also been told about the fire. The Coast Guard was also present, taking reports. 10 cents and Grampus began their story of how they discovered Bluenose trapped, having been pushed by the fuel drivers, trying to take the tugging fuel. Sunshine then explained about how he discovered the fuel drivers' plan to illegally sell the tugging fuel barges before they discovered him and kidnapped him, and how he accidentally set the warehouse on fire. "This is all very serious," remarked the Coast Guard when Sunshine had finished. "I shall take everything you told me into account. Right now, Captain Fuel and his fuel drivers are wanted for questioning. I shall do some investigating right now." And with that, he turned around and left the Star Dock. "What shall we do, sir?" 10 cents asked Captain Star.
Your work. You've done enough, 10 cents. We'll let the police sort this out. Off you go to help OJ deliver some barges. Grampus, take Sunshine to Lucky's yard for a checkup. Sunshine, if you aren't too badly damaged, there are some logs to be taken upriver. Off you go.
So 10 cents, Sunshine, and Grampus left, all feeling a little disappointed. They had found out so much. They wanted to get involved even more. They soon would be. Chapter 13. Bridge Destruction. The fuel drivers had been kept busy the previous night. After they had left Sunshine tied up in the warehouse, they had reported straight back to Captain Fuel and told him about how Sunshine as well as Zip and Zug had discovered what they were up to. Captain Fuel had been furious. Immediately they had left their base of operations and found an old boathouse to have their briefings. They also found a much bigger warehouse to hide their stolen tugging fuel barges. Right now, while Gangster had gone upriver, the others were entering a small dock. A railway line ran on the quayside, but the fuel drivers weren't interested in this. They had spotted the lone tugging fuel barge tied onto the quayside.
There's one, exclaimed Animal hurriedly. Let's go get it.
The four of them moved towards it a few paces, then Animal stopped. The rest of them did the same.
Where are you all going?
Animal asked.
You said, let's go get it,
remarked Mugger calmly.
Yeah, but if we all go to get it from the quayside, that'll cause trouble. We'll all end up bumping into each other. You all stay here. I'll get it. Who made you boss now?
Huffed Pushover, annoyed.
Well, Gangster's gone off upriver. Someone has to take charge.
Shut up and go get it, yelled Muscles.
All right. I'd say keep your stack on, but you don't have one.
With that, Animal approached the barge. He managed to untie the barge and tie it onto himself. He was just about to make his getaway when all of a sudden, he and the others heard a noise which gave them a fright. A steam engine's whistle, followed by,
"Stop right there!"
They all turned to the quayside to see Puffer steaming in with a mixed goods train. He stopped on the quayside.
Trying to steal a barge, eh? Thought you could get away with it? Well, think again. When I'm on my way to deliver this goods, I'm reporting you for your crime. All of you!
Animal panicked and raced out of the dock, taking the barge with him. The others then followed him.
Yes, you can all run from me,
Puffer called after them.
but you won't be able to run from the Coast Guard.
The 4 fuel drivers raced about a mile or two away from the dock and found themselves in the canal. They stopped, gasping for breath.
What are we gonna do?
Mugger panicked. The steam engine is gonna report us.
It looks like we're busted.
Sighed Pushover unhappily. Whether our fate is to be locked up or sunk by Captain Fuel, I don't know.
Either way, we're doomed.
Animal moaned. Muscles then noticed that they were near a steel railway bridge which crossed the water. One support, embedded in the water, held up the bridge. Muscles looked at the support, then at the barge, which was still tied onto Animal.
Maybe we aren't doomed. Maybe we can stop that engine before he tells the Coast Guard. Pass me the barge, Animal.
Wondering what Muscles was up to, Animal moved the barge near to him and untied himself from it. Muscles moved behind it.
Now I'm afraid I'm gonna have to destroy the bridge. But you don't want us to be caught, do ya?
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
The others replied in unison.
Good. Now stay well back.
With that, Muscles began to quickly push the barge at top speed towards the bridge support. For a moment, the others watched with curiosity, not knowing what Muscles was doing. Then Mugger's eyes widened as he realized,
Muscles, stop! Don't worry, I'll be fine.
Muscles stopped a few feet away from the bridge support, but the barge kept going. It hit the bridge support with a sickening crash. It broke apart and fuel splashed out. There was a moment of silence, then the remains of the barge set alight.
Just as I planned.
Muscles smirked to the others.
Now come on, let's get out of here before somebody sees us and reports us for making fires.
So the 4 fuel drivers turned and headed away from the burning, broken barge. For 30 minutes, the barge continued to burn and smoke rose higher and higher above the bridge. Then, eventually, the barge exploded, destroying the bridge support. The bridge then came down with a great crash, landing in the water and smashing apart. Then, as if on cue, Puffer approached the broken bridge with his goods train. He had seen what had happened and slammed on his brakes, but it was no use. He went over the edge and landed in the canal, bringing his train down with him. Chapter 14. More Trouble. For a moment, the scene of the disaster was silent and the damage went unnoticed. Then, eventually, Zebedee approached it, towing a barge of pipes. He stopped when he saw the damaged bridge.
Ugh, what happened here?
Then, 10 Cents and OJ appeared on the other side of the wreckage on their way to pick up their barges. Top Hat was with them, with Eddie and Frank on each side of his hull. They all stopped and looked at the damage.
Bless my paddle wheels!
Exclaimed OJ in surprise.
What's all this mess?
Top Hat noticed Zebedee on the other side and frowned.
Oh, you haven't gone and destroyed yet another railway bridge, have you, Zebedee?
Hey, this has nothing to do with me.
Zebedee frowned in defense.
I just came here and found the bridge like this.
Just then, 10 Cents spotted Puffer's funnel sticking out above the surface. He couldn't tell it was Puffer, but was worried.
Our train has fallen. I better go and get help.
And he turned around and headed back to the port. 10 Cents returned shortly with Mighty Mo. The big floating crane lifted Puffer out of the water, surprising the 4 tugs, and placed him onto Eddie. While Mighty Mo lifted Puffer's wagons out of the water, Puffer told 10 Cents about how he fell in.
But I don't understand how the bridge collapsed.
I still suspect you.
Top Hat said suspiciously to Zebedee.
I told you, this was nothing to do with me. Maybe the bridge collapsed because it was very old, like you, OG.
Just then, 10 Cents spotted something floating nearby.
Hey, what's that?
OJ looked towards where 10 Cents was looking and saw it. The burnt-out remains of a fuel barge.
Looks like that barge exploded, which caused the bridge to collapse. Oh, that reminds me.
remarked Puffer, suddenly remembering.
A short while ago I saw a bunch of tugs I'd never seen before trying to steal a fuel barge.
At these words, 10 Cents, OJ, and Top Hat gasped in unison. Zebedee frowned, wondering what was up.
What?
Puffer explained, puzzled by their expressions.
You saw some tugs trying to steal a barge, remarked OJ, and then this bridge collapses from an explosion.
Yeah, said Puffer, still curious.
So?
Coincidence? 10 Cents pondered, frowning. I don't think so. Meanwhile, Zoran was going through the harbour on his way back to the estuary to look for any vessels in need of a tow. He was also keeping a lookout for Zip and Zug, who had not been seen since the night before. I dunno. You take your eyes off of them to go to sleep, you wake up next morning to find they're gone. Who knows where they are and what they're doing by themselves? The little dummies. He passed a warehouse and spotted Hercules by the entrance. Zoran, having always been afraid of the ocean-going member of the Starfleet, hurried a little, not wanting to be seen by him. But Hercules spotted him and called out to him, "Zoran, old boy, come here!" Zoran didn't want to, but slowly, with much fear, made his way to the warehouse, facing Hercules.
Hiya, Hercules, what can I do for you?
You can tell me what your cronies are doing in this warehouse. Zoran looked through the entrance of the warehouse, which was blocked by barges, and was very surprised to see Zip and Zug trapped inside, looking very frightened.
It's Zoran! Get us out of here!
Zug cried.
What are you two idiots doing in there?
Zoran scowled. I take it they were trying to steal something. Hercules sniffed stiffly. No, we weren't, Zip whimpered miserably. But someone is. We'll tell you, but please let us out. So Zoran and Hercules managed to pull the stuck barges away, and Zip and Zug steamed out, glad to be free. Then they told Zoran and Hercules about how they had overheard the fuel drivers planning to illegally sell the Tugging Fuel barges before they were discovered and ended up trapped in the warehouse.
So they are up to something,
Zoran bellowed.
Well, if they're gonna be selling those fuel barges, then they'd better give me some of the money they earned, because they still owe me for the one they took.
They're not gonna be selling any fuel barges, Zoran, Hercules declared. We're gonna make sure of that. 10 Cents, OJ, and Top Hat arrived at Lucky's yard with Mighty Mo, Eddie, and Frank, who were carrying Puffer and his wagons.
We'll leave you here, Puffer, said 10 Cents. They'll repair you shortly.
As they were about to turn around to leave, they spotted Sunshine pulling into the yard. To their surprise, he had Billy's shoe pack in tow.
Hi, Billy,
said 10 Cents, smiling.
We don't see you often here in Bigg City Port.
I think it'd be better if he didn't stop, OJ frowned.
We don't want your dynamite going off.
Oh no, OJ, Billy gasped. I don't have no dynamite, although I did. What are you doing here? Top Hat asked suspiciously. Well, I was steaming along the river, towing me biggest barge of dynamite ever. But then some tug came up to me and suggested I give it to him, saying smoke from his stack would set it off. But that's ridiculous. I've been delivering dynamite for years, and smoke from his stack doesn't set it off. It only goes off when I set it off.
Get to the point, shoepack,
said OJ crossly. Well, I refused to give it to him, but then he ran me into some box and made off with me barge down to Bigg City. I found Billy stuck on the rocks on my way back, added Sunshine. He was badly damaged, so I took him into port for repairs.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, Billy,
apologized 10 Cents. Hey, I'm not sad about it. I'm more annoyed about me dynamite being stolen. I would have loved to have set it off. It would make a lovely big bang. What did this tug look like? Asked Sunshine. Well, he was big and black. Oh, and he had no stack. The 4 Star Tugs all gasped in unison. They all knew who that description matched.
He had no stack, gasped 10 Cents.
And he's in Bigg City Port with your big load of dynamite? Sunshine cried in terror. Yeah, replied Billy. OJ sighed.
As if just having you in Bigg City Port wasn't bad enough, Shoepack. Chapter 15. Planning. Later, 10 Cents, Sunshine, OJ and Top Hat went to Captain Star and alerted him of the recent crimes that the fuel drivers had committed, involving Billy and Puffer. Captain Star was very taken aback when he heard. "Sir," said 10 Cents when they had finished, "I know you just want the authorities to deal with all this."
You're right, 10 Cents,
Captain Star interrupted. I don't want any of you to try and stop the fuel drivers yourself.
I think we should do as the captain says, Top Hat muttered huffily.
But sir, Sunshine protested, all our friends are getting infected. Puffer, Billy, and even me. I'm aware of that, Sunshine. But if you get involved with those dangerous tugs, you may end up getting destroyed for good. Now I will not tell you again. I do not want you getting involved with the fuel drivers and trying to stop them. You let the authorities deal with that. Now get on with your work, all of you. The 4 Star Tugs turned away from the Star Dock and headed towards the harbour. 10 Cents and Sunshine were disappointed. OJ was expressionless. Top Hat, however, seemed quite satisfied.
Well, then I guess that's sorted. We don't have to worry anymore.
Of course we do! 10 Cents burst out frustrated. Those tugs are not only stealing barges and making money illegally, but they're prepared to destroy anyone that gets in their way. You just expect not to do anything to stop them?
It works for me.
I was lucky to escape, Top Hat, put in Sunshine indignantly, and Puffer and Billy were also lucky not to be destroyed in their accidents. But who's to say their next victim won't be lucky, man? 10 Cents turned to OJ. OJ, you won't just sit back and let them steal barges and attempt to destroy everyone, will you? OJ, who hadn't spoken since they had alerted Captain Star, turned his head to face 10 Cents and frowned. No, I will not. You're right, 10 Cents. We need to stop them, whether Captain Star approves or not.
Oh, so much for the oldest and wisest of tugs, Top Hat groaned.
We need to get all the tugs involved, went on OJ. We should all get together and discuss what we're going to do to stop them. I'm sure they'll agree. 10 Cents, Top Hat, you go tell Big Mac, Warrior, Hercules and Grampus. Tell them to meet at dusk by the quay near the steelworks. Sunshine, you come with me and we'll alert the Z-Stacks.
Oh, so you're going to get them involved now, are you? Top Hat grunted grudgingly. I'm sure they don't like the fuel drivers taking their work any more than we do, chuckled Sunshine, and the tugs split up and went in different directions in pairs.
Later, Sunshine and OJ found the Z-Stacks all gathered in the middle of the harbour. Zoran had been leading Zip and Zug back towards the Zero Dock, and, on the way, had bumped into Zebedee and Zack. The 2 Star Tugs approached them cautiously. The Z-Stacks turned and noticed them.
Hello?
Sunshine smiled nervously. Here, look here, lads, sneered Zoran. It's the oldest and youngest of the stars together. What a match. What do you want? Croaked Zack, not at all pleased to see them.
We're having a meeting, said Sunshine quietly, and we hoped you'd, come along.
The Z-Stacks burst into laughter. Come to a meeting with you? Zoran bellowed through his loud guffaws. Oh, you stars are so stupid, you make me laugh.
Me too,
added Zug between fits of laughter. OJ steamed up. Listen, you know what the fuel drivers are up to, right? The Z-Stacks stopped laughing at once. Yeah, replied Zoran snobbishly. They still owe me money. And they shut me and Zip up in the warehouse last night, put in Zug hastily. They did, remarked OJ surprised. Well then, you had better come to the meeting. Huh? Snorted Zoran.
We're going to try to stop them.
Just meet us at dusk at the quay near the steelworks. With that, OJ and Sunshine turned and steamed away. Are we going to go to that meeting, Zoran? Asked Zip a little nervous. If it's to stop those thieves, yeah. We can't let them get away with stealing barges, trapping you in warehouses, and not paying me my money. When dusk finally began to fall, the Star Tugs and Z-Stacks all made their way to the quay by the steelworks. OJ and Sunshine were the first to arrive there, and 10 Cents and Top Hat arrived shortly after them. We told the Z-Stacks about the meeting, OJ told them. They agreed to come. Did you tell the others? Yeah, we did, replied 10 Cents. We also told them the crimes the fuel drivers had been committing. They were willing to help catch them, although they were a little against the idea of having the Z-Stacks being in on this.
Any wise Star Tug would be, snorted Top Hat crossly. Mind you, there's a star here who's supposed to be the wisest, but has a strange way of showing it.
I know what I'm doing, Top Hat, OJ remarked defensively. More than you ever know what you're doing at any time.
Hey, look!
Sunshine called hastily, trying to distract them from arguing.
Here come Big Mac and Warrior!
Sure enough, the two strong harbour tugs steamed into view and over to their fellow Star Tugs. As they stopped beside them, some bubbles rose to the surface and Grampus rose up. Alright guys, Big Mac greeted them smiling. We're looking forward to stopping those criminal tugs tonight, but are you sure we can trust the Z-Stacks will help us, OJ? I'm sure they aren't any happier than we are about the fuel drivers taking work. And now that they know they're thieves, I'm sure they'll be prepared to stop them.
Well, they better not try anything on us, said Warrior, frowning. If they do, I'll...
You'll what, Warrior? Asked an oily voice. Warrior froze. He found out the voice belonged to Zoran, who was steaming over to them, leading the other Z-Stacks.
Oh, nothing, Zoran.
Warrior stuttered in fear. Zoran sneered sinisterly. If you were thinking of doing anything to us,
You'll what, Zoran?
Came a stern voice. Zoran and the other Z-Stacks immediately began quivering in fear as Hercules steamed over to them, frowning. Oh, we would never think of doing anything, Hercules, Zoran smiled nervously. Oh, we're here to work together. Yeah, that's right, 10 Cents put in, frowning at them all. Tonight we need to work together to catch those fuel drivers and bring them to custody. Z-Stacks, you may hate us Star Tugs. We aren't fond of you either, but both Starfleet and Zero Fleet have been working in Bigg City Port for years. We've been relied on by just about everybody. So are we gonna let some criminals who claim to be better because they're more modern beat us?
Oh no!
Good. So that means no arguing tonight. That includes you, Top Hat.
Bah, me? Argue? Honestly, you switchers come up with some strange ideas.
Sure, what's the plan, 10 Cents? Asked Sunshine. 10 Cents' frown fell to a look of embarrassment. Oh, I hadn't thought of a plan. Yeah, OJ, did you think of one?
How pathetic, Zack sneered. That little switcher tries to make himself look professional, but in the end has to turn to the old-timer instead. Ah, but at least the old man does have a plan, smiled OJ.
He then whispered to the others. Good thinking, OJ, old man. Hercules smiled. That'll surely stop those tugs.
It's a bit of a stinker,
Top Hat groaned. 10 Cents frowned at him.
I didn't mean the idea was bad,
Top Hat added, smiling sheepishly.
It's just what part of the plan involves.
Well, I think that's work. I just hope your part of the plan will catch all of them, Zip said quietly in fear. Right. I'll wait for you for now, as you want me, said Hercules. And you come back for me to tell me when to alert the Coast Guard. All right. See you later, Hercules, OJ smiled. Come on, lads, and wish us all luck. So the others all headed away from the quayside, and when they went further into the harbour, 10 Cents, Sunshine, Zoran, Zip and Zug headed one way, as the others headed another. Later, Mugger, Muscles, Animal and Pushover were going through the dark harbour when their noses picked up a strange aroma. Ugh! Mugger groaned in disgust. What's that horrible pong? The 4 fuel drivers looked around and saw they were near the city garbage dump. A bank of garbage was in the water and the smell was reaching their nostrils.
Chug, let's get out of here, Pushover spat. They were about to race off when Animal called out, "Stop! Look!" The others looked towards where Animal was looking and spotted a lone Tugging Fuel barge just beyond the bank of garbage. "Is anyone about?" asked Muscles. The 4 tugs looked around and saw Jack the Grappler on the quay hanging from his crane, but his eyes were closed. "He's asleep," remarked Animal hastily.
Let's get it!
Slowly, one behind the other, the 4 fuel drivers slowly made their way alongside the bank of garbage towards the barge. As they did, Jack opened one eye, saw them moving quietly, opened his other eyes and yelled, "Now!" The fuel drivers yelled with fright. Then, to their surprise, Big Mac, OJ, Top Hat, Zebedee and Zack charged out of the shadows. Big Mac banged into Animal and pushed him onto the bank of garbage. OJ did the same to Mugger as Top Hat did to Pushover, and Zebedee and Zack did to Muscles. The 4 fuel drivers were now stuck on the bank of garbage. "Hey!" Pushover yelled angrily. "Let us off!"
Oh, don't worry.
Zebedee smirked smugly.
You'll be let off once the Coast Guard comes to arrest you all.
Big Mac added. At that moment, Warrior appeared into view, pushing Lord Stinker. He pushed the garbage barge beside the bank of garbage.
Keep an eye on them, will you, your lordship?
With pleasure, Lord Stinker chuckled. The fuel drivers groaned in disgust at the smell of the garbage.
Don't think you've won, though,
Muscles sneered. You may have caught us, but Gangster's still out there, and no tug can catch him.
Says you.
OJ replied.
Come on, lads. Let's go tell Hercules to fetch the Coast Guard straight here.
With that, the 4 Star Tugs and 2 Z-Stacks headed away from the garbage dump, leaving behind the 4 fuel drivers, Lord Sinker and Jack.
Ugh, why did we have to be pushed onto a pile of garbage?
Muscles groaned disgustedly.
Horrible stuff.
Oh, I don't know, replied Lord Stinker. I think it's good stuff.
Yeah,
added Jack.
Why not have some?
With that, he scooped up some garbage from a pile that was on the quay, rose up, moved over until he was dangling above Muscles, and dropped the garbage on top of him.
Ugh, disgusting. I'm all dirty and smelly. I need a wash.
Just then, Grampus rose up from underwater beside the bank of garbage and spat water into Muscles' face.
Ugh, this isn't what I had in mind.
Grampus, Lord Stinker, and Jack laughed. And so did the other fuel drivers, despite being caught. Chapter 17. Teammates, Trap and Traitor. Further away in the dark harbour, 10 Cents, Sunshine, Zoran, Zip and Zug were looking around to see if they could find any fuel drivers. But since they had left the others, there was no sign of any of the group of thieving vessels anywhere. Zip was glad of this. There doesn't seem to be any...
Shut it, Zip!
Zoran snapped, annoyed.
Whether you like it or not, we're not gonna abandon the search.
Don't you want to get your work back, Zip? Sunshine asked. Not really. As long as we don't have to face those fuel drivers, I'm happy not to have any work.
Tell that to Captain Zero, Zug frowned. He'll sink you for sure.
I don't know why we have cowards like you two on board the fleet, Zoran muttered grudgingly.
Huh? Zip's a coward, yeah, but me,
Zug grinned.
With all due respect, Zoran, I'm not scared. Quiet,
10 Cents interrupted in a whisper.
Look over there.
The tugs looked towards starboard, where 10 Cents was looking, and spotted Gangster in the darkness, towing a tugging fuel barge and a long barge of dynamite.
It's the leader!
Zug cried in fright, and he quickly turned around and hurried off into the darkness as fast as he could. Zug, wait for me! Zip immediately turned around and chased after Zug, screaming.
Hey, get back here, you two!
Zoran yelled angrily. But Zip and Zug continued steaming quickly away and hurried off into the night. I'd better go after them, Sunshine sighed. I'll come back later in case you need me. He too then turned around and disappeared into the darkness of the harbour. 10 Cents and Zoran turned to face each other. Zoran frowned, but 10 Cents grinned.
Well, Zoran, it looks like it's just you and me, buddy. Just you and me. Just this once, mate. Right, well, let's go after Gangster.
The two arch-rivals then proceeded towards the spot where they had noticed Gangster. As they approached it, they looked towards port, and there they spotted Gangster in the distance a bit further away. 10 Cents and Zoran headed towards where Gangster was heading, wondering where he was going. They soon found out in surprise as they were led away from the port and towards a large wooden warehouse, like the last one the fuel drivers had kept their barges in, but bigger. Keeping a distance away from the warehouse, 10 Cents and Zoran watched as Gangster disappeared through the wooden doors with the two barges. "Should we go in after him?" 10 Cents asked. "Better not. With just the two of us, and him in there, he could sink us." They stood in the darkness, in silence for a while. Then, at last, 10 Cents spoke. Zoran?" Zoran turned to look at him.
Yeah, what?
"We're trying to make sure that both our fleets get our work back. So even though at the end of this we'll go back to being rivals, it will help each other and see that neither of us comes to any harm, won't we?"
Zoran frowned and looked away.
Yeah, sure we will.
10 Cents beamed happily.
"Oh, thanks, Zoran."
Five minutes later, 10 Cents and Zoran spotted Gangster leaving the warehouse. They gasped in surprise and watched as he turned to starboard and disappeared from sight.
"Come on," remarked 10 Cents. "Let's go in the warehouse."
They steamed quietly and quickly towards the warehouse entrance and disappeared through the doors. Inside it was very dark, but the two tugs saw the long lines of Tugging Fuel barges inside. They also saw the barge of dynamite on the left side near the entrance.
"What's he want with explosives?" Zoran asked. "Is he selling that off too?"
He took it from Billy Shoepack.
"Billy Shoepack? Is that the little paddler from upriver who blew up the tramper, which trapped you SARS and Sug and had me stuck on some rocks?"
Yeah, that's him, 10 Cents replied, beginning to chuckle.
Don't laugh at me, 10 Cents. You wouldn't be laughing if it was you stuck on the rocks.
I think I would be. You have to admit, Zoran, it was kind of funny. Zoran frowned, then grinned and put on a false laugh.
Ah ha ha. So anyway, what's your plan?
"One of us goes on the left side of the entrance, the other on the right. Then, once Gangster comes back in, we'll close onto him and hold him until Sunshine comes back. We'll tell him to fetch Hercules with the Coast Guard and hold on to him until they arrive."
Good plan.
"Although, are you sure we can hold on to him until the Coast Guard comes?"
Oh, well, I'm sure you can, Zoran. You're a big, strong tug, aren't you? Zoran grinned.
Too right I am, 10 Cents. Too right.
The minutes passed. 10 Cents and Zoran were standing one on each side of the entrance to the warehouse. 10 Cents stood on the right while Zoran stood on the left. Neither of them spoke, but 10 Cents was sure they were going to catch the fuel drivers. Soon after, they heard Gangster approaching the doors.
"I'm low on fuel. Perhaps I'd better refuel from one of the barges, as long as I still leave a bit to sell."
"He's coming!" exclaimed 10 Cents. "Ready, Zoran?"
"Ready when you are."
They stood where they were in silence, then watched with shivers going through their boilers as the leader of the fuel drivers passed through the entrance. Gangster was looking straight ahead at the lines of Tugging Fuel barges, so he didn't see the two tugs on each side of him. At that moment, 10 Cents and Zoran yelled out and blew their hooters. Gangster jerked in fright and frantically looked from side to side as the two tugs swiftly moved sidewards, closing in on him and trapping him in between them. "Ha!" 10 Cents remarked triumphantly.
We got you now!
Then, to the switcher's surprise, Gangster moved sideways and pushed him hard into the warehouse wall. 10 Cents cried out as the impact made a hole in his waterlight. To 10 Cents' horror, water was gushing through the hole, and he started to slowly sink.
Zoran, help! I'm sinking!
Zoran and Gangster just stood and watched the switcher starting to sink. Then, just as the water had passed over his deck, there was a bump as 10 Cents' hull had hit the waterbed. He remained down to above his neck out of the water.
Quick, Zoran, stop him!
Zoran continued looking at the almost sunken 10 Cents, then turned angrily to Gangster.
Look here, you! You are committing some very serious crimes here. You're stealing barges, and your lot owe me money.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah!
Then suddenly, Zoran charged towards Gangster. Gangster charged towards Zoran. The two knocked their bows into each other's, and on impact, a fireball erupted from Zoran's stack. It soared into the air for a few seconds, and then landed onto the pile of dynamite. The barge exploded and caught alight. Zoran and Gangster backed away in fright. The explosion sent a fireball flying onto one of the Tugging Fuel barges, which then also caught fire. Gangster screamed, "I gotta get out of here!" He started to move towards the entrance, but slowed to a stop.
Oh no, I'm out of fuel. Here, I'll tell you what.
Zoran sneered.
I'll save you if you pay me for what you owe, plus a little more.
Yes, just save me!
Deal.
Zoran moved in front of Gangster and attached the line onto him.
Zoran, what are you doing?
10 Cents cried.
Well, I need to get my money, don't I?
Never mind your money. What about me?
Sorry, 10 Cents, but like you said, we'll go back to being rivals at the end of this.
Zoran sneered evilly.
Didn't Captain Star ever tell you not to trust Z-Stacks?
But Zoran...
Ta-ta, 10 Cents.
With that, Zoran steamed out of the entrance with Gangster in tow. The fuel barge that was on fire exploded, sending showers of flames to other fuel barges, setting them alight too. 10 Cents sighed. He had failed. Zoran had betrayed him. Gangster had got away, and he was about to be burnt to a crisp. Chapter 18. Failed rescue attempt. Zoran hurried away from the burning building with Gangster in tow. He towed the criminal half a mile into the dark port before stopping.
Alright, I saved your non-existent stack. Now give me the money you owe.
Huh, do you really think I'm gonna pay you?
What?
Zoran spluttered in shock.
But you said you would. You tricked me.
Go screw your stack on, oldie, Gangster boomed. I think you know by now I've been stealing barges so that I can sell them. So do you think I'm gonna give you money?
Well then I'll just throw you back in the fire.
Zoran was just about to tow Gangster away when Hercules and the Coast Guard came into view, followed by Sunshine.
Zoran, my dear.
Hercules exclaimed proudly when he saw the Z-Stack with Gangster.
You caught him.
Yeah, I got him.
Ain't I good?
Oh yes, Zoran, you are, Gangster sneered. Good at helping me.
What?
Zoran exclaimed. He was helping me escape and get away with the crimes us fuel drivers committed.
Is that so?
Asked the Coast Guard.
No, I wasn't.
Zoran cried in panic.
He's lying.
Zoran and Gangster, retorted the Coast Guard sharply. You are both under arrest.
No.
Zoran continued, yelling in fear.
I'm innocent.
Oh, sure you are. Gangster smirked sinisterly. As innocent as I am. Zoran? Sunshine whispered shyly. Where's 10 Cents?
Oh, he's just shut up in a burning warehouse.
What?
Horrified, Sunshine raced in the direction of the burning warehouse.
Sunshine, wait!
Hercules cried out, but Sunshine raced away out of sight. My, Zoran thought. The two star switchers are as stupid as each other. Sunshine approached the burning warehouse. He saw in horror smoke billowing from the entrance. 10 Cents! He raced towards the building when it suddenly exploded. Flames shot out and covered the entire building.
10 Cents!
Sunshine bravely steamed quickly towards the entrance. He looked inside, but all he could see was smoke and flames. With a toot on his scooter, Sunshine raced through the doors,
coughing from the clouds of smoke billowing everywhere. He saw all of the stolen barges nearly rapidly burning. Flames roared everywhere. It was like being in a blast furnace. 10 cents! Sunshine called out between coughs. No answer. 10 cents! Then, to his relief, Sunshine heard a voice he knew. Sunshine! He looked near the side by the entrance, and sure enough, there was his best friend, looking surprised and scared, dirty with ashes and almost sunk. Sunshine approached him. 10 cents! Are you okay? Only just? What are you doing in here? Get out of here before you go up in smoke! You've already been trapped in the fire. What? No! You and Grandpa's got me out of that fire. I'm gonna do the same for you! Sunshine went to attach a line, then noticed that 10 cents was almost sunk. He hesitated, hurriedly pondering what to do. Sunshine is no good! Get out of here! You can't save me! Oh yes I can! Sunshine threw the rope, which happened to have a large noose in it, around 10 cents stack. You're coming with me, mate! Sunshine began to reverse, pulling the noose tight around 10 cents stack. He then began to reverse towards the exit. However, with 10 cents stuck on the waterbed, he soon couldn't move. He pulled hard and the rope strained, but 10 cents didn't budge. Sunshine! 10 cents protested pleadingly. You can't! Yes, I can! Sunshine pulled furiously on the rope, and sure enough, he began to slowly drag his friend across the waterbed. 10 cents gasped in surprise, and smiled for a brief second, beginning to feel hopeful. But his expression soon changed to that of an alarmed one, as the burning barges nearby let off another explosion. Don't worry, buddy, Sunshine smiled, reversing slowly but surely towards the exit. You're gonna make it out! Sunshine's deck managed to get through the entrance into the opening. Both he and 10 cents began to feel much more hopeful. You're doing it, Sunshine! Exclaimed 10 cents happily. Sunshine managed to clear the entrance and continued to pull 10 cents towards it. 10 cents continued to slowly move across the waterbed, feeling more and more hopeful. You're nearly there! Sunshine cried in delight. Just a bit more and you'll... Before Sunshine could finish, a burning rafter from above broke and came crashing down onto the rope, breaking it. Sunshine shot quickly backwards, but 10 cents remained where he was. Sunshine! Sunshine managed to control and stop himself and looked back at the burning building. 10 cents! He steamed quickly towards the entrance, intending to go back inside, when, to his horror, the building began to slowly collapse. No! Sunshine screamed, but there was nothing he could do. He could only watch helplessly and in terror as the building came crashing down. As it did, smoke poured everywhere for a moment, blinding Sunshine. When the smoke cleared, Sunshine saw the wrecked old building, now a pile of rubble. The fire was out, but some smoke still poured from it. Sunshine, still shocked, stood where he was, rapidly shaking his head. Titans! Chapter 19. Back to normal. Sunshine stood where he was, staring in shock and disbelief, rapidly shaking his head. At that moment, OJ, Big Mac, Warrior, Top Hat, Zebedee, and Zack steamed into view. They all spotted the burnt-out rubble.
Oh my word, get a load of that! Gasped Top Hat.
Is this the work of the last fuel driver, or that little star shrimper?
Zebedee sneered, looking at Sunshine.
OJ steamed over to the little switcher.
What happened here, Sunshine?
10 cents! He was trapped inside! I tried to pull him out, but...
Sunshine couldn't finish. He just constantly gasped in fright. The other Star Tugs all gasped too.
10 cents! He was caught in that!
Warrior cried, staring at the rubble. Zebedee and Zack looked at each other without saying anything. They weren't horrified, but they couldn't believe what they were hearing.
It was all my fault, Sunshine said miserably. I could have pulled him out.
Well, thank heavens you weren't caught either, Sunshine, remarks OJ. He turns to the rubble. Maybe there's a chance that... He turns to Big Mac and Warrior. You two go fetch Scuttlebutt Pete. He can clear up the rubble.
Right, OJ.
Then he and Big Mac set off into the port.
We'd better go too,
put in Zack. He and Zebedee turned around and headed away.
Here, won't Captain Zero be pleased now that we've caught all the fuel drivers?
Zebedee smirks triumphantly.
And one Star Tug is out of the picture.
Sunshine, OJ and Top Hat stared at the burnt-out rubble. None of them spoke. They were all sad that the fact that 10 cents had been caught when the building had collapsed and was now buried inside somewhere, possibly destroyed. Big Mac and Warrior soon returned with Scuttlebutt Pete, who began scooping up several piles of burnt wood from the rubble. Hercules and Grampus had also arrived, having been informed of what had happened. Hercules was talking to OJ, while the other tugs were anxiously watching Mighty Mo clear the rubble in search of 10 cents.
We managed to catch 4 of the fuel drivers,
OJ told Hercules solemnly. And we managed to catch the other one, their leader, replied Hercules. Unfortunately, it turns out Zoran was helping them.
He was? I should have known not to trust Z-Stacks.
Oh, it's okay, OJ, old darling. All that matters now is that the fuel drivers have been caught. Hercules turned sadly towards the rubble and the watching Star Tugs. And if 10 cents is all right. The other stars continued to watch with sadness as Scuttlebutt continued scooping wood from the rubble. For a while, there was silence as he did so. Then Scuttlebutt called out,
Everyone look!
The stars looked closely into the rubble and gasped with horror. 10 Cent's face was visible within the rubble. Scuttlebutt had cleared away the rubble that was covering it. His eyes were closed.
Quick, Scuttlebutt, keep scooping!
Big Mac ordered. Scuttlebutt continued, scooping up more rubble, and soon 10 Cents was visible from the deck up. The stars looked at him. He was dirty all over with ashes. His porthole windows were smashed, and his stack and flagpole were bent.
10 cents,
Sunshine whispered in sadness. No answer.
10 cents. Please wake up. Please.
Slowly, the little switcher opened his eyes to find several distraught faces, which quickly changed to happy expressions.
Ugh. What happened? 10 cents, you're all right!
Sunshine cried happily. Oh, thank goodness! OJ sighed with relief.
Oh, I must say I was frightfully worried,
Top Hat added.
I'm so glad you're all right, 10 cents.
10 Cents smiled. Oh, thanks, Top Hat. Then he suddenly remembered.
Zoran, gangster,
It's all right, 10 Cents, old darling, Hercules mused. They've been caught, and so have the others. They won't be bothering us now. 10 Cents let out a big sigh of relief.
I'll go and fetch Mighty Mo on a barge, said Big Mac. We'll tow you back since you can't move. We'll go back to Captain Star and tell him all we've done. And I'll go and tell the Coast Guard to arrest the other fuel drivers, chuckled OJ, heading away. They're still stuck on that smelly garbage.
Later, 10 Cents found himself on top of a barge being towed by Big Mac towards the Star Dock with Sunshine, Top Hat, Warrior, Hercules and Grampus all around him. They were all happy that he was okay, and he was glad to have such good friends who cared about him.
They arrived back at the Star Dock immediately to shouts of anger by Captain Star. "There you all are! Just where do you think you've all been?" "Oh, nowhere much," grinned 10 cents. "Just stopping the fuel drivers." "What? But I told you not!" Before Captain Star could finish, OJ steamed into the dock, followed by the Coast Guard, who was towing Zoran and the fuel drivers in a line. "Captain Star," the Coast Guard called, "I'd just like to say that you should be proud of your Starfleet. They helped us to catch one of the biggest gang of crooks ever to invade Bigg City Port. As you can see here, these thieves had a bit of help from Zoran." I see. I always knew you were no good, Zoran. I'm glad you finally get what you deserve." "But I'm innocent," Zoran protested angrily. "Wait until Captain Zero hears about this. He'll—"
Shut up," moaned Gangster grudgingly. "You're coming with me."
"Yes, you're all coming with me," the Coast Guard barked as he led the 5 fuel-driven tugs and 1 coal-driven tug away. The Star Tugs turned back to Captain Star, who hesitated before speaking. "Well, Starfleet, as much as I didn't want you to get involved, I am pleased with you all. You've stopped these criminals and now we can get back to work as normal. I am proud to be at the helm of such a loyal fleet." All the tugs blew their hooters in happiness. Then Captain Star noticed that 10 cents was damaged. 10 cents what? I won't ask. Sunshine, tomorrow take him to Lucky's yard for repairs. For now, all of you get a good night's sleep. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
And the entire Starfleet fell happily to sleep. A few weeks later, 10 cents was steaming happily through the port. He had been repaired and was as good as new. Captain Star had sent him off to do his first job in weeks. As he steamed through the port, to his surprise, he met Zoran. "Oh, Zoran, you've been released, have you?" "Yeah, Captain Zero bailed me out. And a good thing, too," Zoran scowled. "I didn't do anything." "Yeah, well, you should have helped me instead of Gangster. But it doesn't matter now, as we're back to being rivals," 10 cents smiled. "But you know what, Zoran? I'd rather have you and the Z-Stacks as rivals than the fuel drivers any day." "Yeah, I guess you stars aren't as bad as those fuel drivers. They still didn't give me my money." Captain Zero was annoyed at that, and the fact that he had to spend a great deal of money to get me out. "Well, things are back to normal now," said 10 cents. "So I guess I'll see you around, Zoran." "Yeah, see ya." And 10 cents steamed off into the port, feeling happy now that things were back to normal. Now he was back at work and was determined to do a good job to please Captain Star, which he would do, as the Starfleet could not manage without a tug like 10 cents. That was A Tug's Adventure. It was written by Laid-Back Brit and read by TARDIS9. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Oh my word, that is probably the longest thing I have ever read for this channel. I mean, clocking in at about 2.5 to 3 hours? Oh my god. But all the same, I really loved recording this. When I first read this, back when I was in school, Oh god. This was practically an instant favourite for me. Literally, it was one of those fics that just really stuck with me. You know? And because I think it just showed to me how seriously these fanfictions can take themselves. I mean, people underrate these quite a lot, thinking they're all, like, sex and violence and stuff. But at the same time, there's plenty of drama. I mean, we just appreciate shows like Tugs so much. And, well, frankly, it's a shame how Tugs has been practically pushed to the wayside these days. But no matter. Because one thing's for certain. It's thanks to guys like you who keep the show going. Even when there's no official series of it anymore. And that, I think, just shows how much love and appreciation we feel as fans for these work. So I'd like to dedicate this to Laid-Back Brit and to the entire Tugs team. And my apologies also, Laid-Back Brit, for if I had to change any sentences around throughout all this time. I just felt that there were some grammatical errors, and there were some sentences to me which I felt, if changed, would read a little better, so I hope you understand. But anyway, I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for just sticking with me right through to the very end after about 19 chapters. Dry rails in good running, everyone. And thank you very much.